Started. Great. We are now recording the meeting. Good morning, District 8 Toastmasters and visitors. With the pandemic, we were also rushed to start hosting online meetings, and there's so much to learn about how to host them and how to use this new platform, Zoom. So that's why we created this training, Zoom Your Way to Great Online Meetings. I'm going to ask that during the training you post your questions in chat, and Wayne is going to try to field those as we go. I would now like to introduce our speaker and trainer today. Wayne Schoenberg is a professional speaker, leader, coach, leadership coach, author, and practicing attorney. He has tried more than 200 jury trials, is a member of the $1 Million Advocates, and was named a top 100 trial lawyer by the National Association of Trial Lawyers. He has been a member of the Midtown Clayton Toastmaster Club since January of 2015. He has earned the designation of competent communicator, competent leader, and has completed his level 1 of leadership development path. Wayne speaks to organizations who want to develop confident leaders who will contribute to the organization's success. Wayne is married to Rebecca Schoenberg. Please help me in welcoming Wayne Schoenberg.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Before we begin, a couple of things. If I would ask you to mute yourself if you're not involved in making a comment, because there's always background noise that happens in Zoom meetings. And that's one of the things that you'll want to know when you conduct a Zoom meeting. Ask people to mute themselves, because you're going to hear barking dogs and screaming kids and everything else if you don't. At the bottom of your screen is a little thing called chat. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but if you want to chat, you click on that chat button, a screen will come up and you'll see that it says everyone to start. But if you click on that everyone, you can chat directly to anybody listed on there, and it will be in the nature of a private chat. If you have chats up it's going to come up on the right-hand part of your screen, and you want to close that out, you'll see a little caret to the left of the word chat. You click on that, and it will give you an opportunity to close that, and you'll go back to a wider screen. So that's, again, something if you're not familiar with, I want you to know as we begin here. Let me tell you what's going to happen here. First of all, take a look at me. When I started in business, we used carbon paper and onion skin, and then we advanced to the be and end all of all technology, the IBM Selectric typewriter. And now here we are in a digital age, and if I can learn this, you can learn this. I'm on the lead edge of the baby boomers, proudly, a lead edge of the baby boomers. What you're going to do is leave here with the confidence that you can start and run and successfully run a Zoom meeting. It is not difficult at all. Generally, the only thing that keeps people from doing it is lack of confidence. You're afraid of making a mistake. So watch as I go through this, because you're going to see me make all kinds of mistakes, but they're not going to be critical. They're not going to end the whole process. Mistakes happen in this, so be comfortable with this, and you're going to learn enough about Zoom. You're not going to learn everything about Zoom, because I don't know everything about Zoom, but I know, and I've conducted many meetings and many webinars on Zoom since this began, and I use it a lot for just one-on-one conferences with clients. So play along with me here. We're going to do a number of things, and you'll enjoy it. We also have a poll here. So one of the functions you're going to learn about is doing polling, which is really good for your club meetings. So here is the first poll. I'm going to launch it now, and you're going to answer. Okay, we've got 17 or 19. So what I see as a host here it tells me that there are 17 of 19, now 18 of 20, 90% have voted. And we have 11 people, 61% who have started their own Zoom meeting and 7 who have not. So that is a poll, and I'll show you how to do polls as we go through this. I can share the results here. Now, are you seeing the results on your screens? Okay, very good. And that's helpful. We use that in our club for voting for the best speaker, the best evaluator, and the best table topics. And on the table topics, because you don't know who those are going to be, you can create that poll in the middle of your meeting as you're going along. So I'm going to go to what's called share screen right now. When you're a host, by the way, as you look at the bottom of your screen, let's talk about something else first. Let's talk about what Jim already knows. How many of you know how to change your backdrop? Anybody interested in learning how to change your backdrop? So I can't see all of you. I've got myself highlighted here. I'm going to go to gallery view for me. Okay, put your hand up if you know how to change backdrop. Okay, let me go into that. Down on the lower left-hand corner of your screen is a little microphone that says mute and a little camera that says stop video. And next to that camera is a little caret. You click on that caret and it will raise a menu for you. It says video settings. The third one up says choose virtual background. So if you go to that, choose virtual background, you will be able to change your background. He says, but my backgrounds aren't showing up, so there's always something. See, there's an example. For reasons unknown to me, I've got 10 or 12 video backgrounds. None of them are showing up. But that's how you do that. And you can download any picture you want into there. You see, Debbie Young has now gone to Brazil. So yeah, and Sandra is on top of the world. So that's how you change your background, and that can be helpful. I'm here in my home office in my basement, and I use this most of the time. But depending on how I'm feeling on any given day, I will do that. So if you want to change your background, go ahead and do that now. I'm going to go to a function called share screen. Well, before I go there, let's talk about the recording. If you're a host, you have the ability to record, and we're recording this for later, and there'll be a button down in front of you that says pause, stop recording, and that's how you do that. You will want to, some meetings you want to record, some not. So I'm going to go to share screen now. Share screen is a function that allows me to share my computer with others. So here's an example.
Hey,
this is a
Wayne,
web. Yes?
we did have one question, and you may
Okay.
want to address this about how to change their background to green, yellow, and red if they are timer. I have heard of this.
That's a good question. What I do is I just have, and Debbie, you might want to answer this, but I just have backgrounds that are green, yellow, and red, and I change through there. I use that function to change that background. Debbie, you're muted. You're muted, Debbie.
My apologies. These backgrounds, like the green one I have up now, you can download them from the TI website. So I will go ahead and post the link to where you can download these backgrounds in chat.
Okay. And then Debbie, if we want to add, there is under resources, there's virtual resources, and these backgrounds are on the district website.
Oh, on District 8. Okay, then I'll link to that.
Right. And the other caveat is that some people may not be able to pull these off. You may want to talk about that, Wayne.
Well, it's going to depend on your computer. Some computers don't have the power to do that. And, you know, if you don't, you've got to change computers. I have a Surface Pro that I use a lot when I'm on the road. And that doesn't allow me to use backgrounds on that. And it's just a basic function of your computer. So if you can't use it, you just have to go with what you have. Any other
And then
questions?
along with that too, there's also a thing called video filters, which is kind of a fun thing if you loaded the latest version of Zoom.
Yep. Yep.
I don't know if you want to.
Well, let me go back there. So this is, I just want to show you this. So you see a screen share there. That's a webinar that I did.
Okay.
If you do a PowerPoint, those are going to come up, and you can just toggle through that by clicking on, and again, in the lower left, there's going to be a little toggle switch that allows you to toggle through that. Now, I didn't make a PowerPoint for this presentation, but that's how you do screen share, okay? There'll be a button in front of you that says screen share. There's probably one in front of you now that says screen share, but you will see that not everybody gets to, when you set up the meeting, not everybody gets to share their screens. So we're going to go into here, and I'm going to find, well, yes I am, here we go. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Let's talk about Zoom. We're going to go, so you want to start a Zoom meeting. First thing you have to have is some Zoom power. Go to Zoom US, and here's their screen. Let's look at plans and pricing. All right. So you've got options here. A free plan is really all that you need. You're going to be able to host up to 100 participants. The problem with that is if you want to do a meeting such as this, you can only go 40 minutes with a group meeting. Now, if you have a one-on-one meeting, you can go forever on that. So as you see here, you host up to 100 participants, 40-minute maximum group meetings, and unlimited one-on-one meetings. And it's totally free. And for the most of the time, that's going to do. But if you're having a Zoom meeting for your club, obviously that's not going to make it. You're going to want to go to the Pro here, which is basically about $13 a month. You can host up to 100 participants, have unlimited group meetings, you have social media streaming, and you get a gigabyte of cloud recording. We'll talk about the cloud recording. So that's where you can find your plans and pricing on your opening page of Zoom. Just check out plans and pricing, and then you can sign up. Now, over on the edge of the screen, which I can't see because you're all in the way, you can see here, sign up for free. Now I'm going to sign in. So once you have your Zoom account, you sign in, and you go to this page. Now, first of all, of course, you have a profile. You want to fill in your profile. It says who I am. It's got my sign-in email, features. I can have 500 people in a meeting, 500 people in a webinar. Set your time zone on there, your date format, your time format. You'll have your password and your host key. Now, this particular program that I have is a huge program, and we get it because I'm a member of the National Speakers Association, and this is not a program that is going to be available to you except for, I think, $3,000 a year. So the next thing you want to look at is settings. In here, you have settings for your meetings. And these are general settings, and these are just whatever you choose. So, and this will scroll down, but let's start here about just waiting room. When participants join a meeting, place them in a waiting room and require the host to admit them individually. Enabling the waiting room automatically disables the setting for allowing participants to join before the host. So here's the situation. If you have a waiting room and people come in and you're the host, you're going to have to click to admit each one of those people as they come in. And that can be a bit of a pain unless you have a co-host who's going to help you out. But I generally just have people, I have no waiting room, I have people come in. Now, I do not, down here we have require a passcode when scheduling new meetings. You can have a passcode if you want one, depending on I suppose, how secure you want your meeting to be. I have not generally used a passcode When you scroll down here, you've got it's all about passcodes, embedded passcodes, require passcodes for participants joining by phone. So just scroll down on your settings as you go through here, and this is all in the early security part. When we get down into scheduling a meeting, you'll want to start meetings with the host video on. So you don't want to have to go in there and change it around. Set yours to start video on. And I start my meetings with the participant video on. Participants can change this during the meeting. As you go down to that little box on the left portion of your screen, you can change that to take your video off, or you can even go up to those 3 little buttons up in the corner and take your video off or on. So I start with participant video on. Telephone and computer audio, again, you're going to want to do that because you're doing a Zoom meeting where you want people to be seen and be heard. Now, here's one, join before host. Allow participants to join the meeting before the host arrives. That means that if you set up a meeting to start at 10 o'clock and you're not online at 10 o'clock, people can get into your meeting. I don't do that. I don't allow people to get in there before I'm on. For one thing, sometimes I put for it to automatically record, and I don't want to record all of the prefatory things. You can enable a personal meeting ID. If you want to, use a personal meeting ID when scheduling a meeting. I have that off. Use personal meeting ID. So there's a lot of stuff about personal meetings. Now here's one, mute participants upon entry. Again, I don't mute participants upon entry, but you can do that. That means when people come in, their mic is not hot. So they can't just start talking. They're going to have to unmute themselves. And down here, upcoming meeting reminder. If I have a meeting scheduled and I'm sitting there working on my computer, it will pop up in the lower right-hand corner reminding me that I have a meeting in 5 minutes to start. And that's kind of handy because sometimes, you get tied up doing something else. Now, as you scroll down further, you're going to see chat. We've talked about chat here. You can allow meeting participants to send a message visible to all participants. Obviously, you want to do that. You turn that on. Your private chat, you allow meeting participants to send the one-on-one message to another participant. So in this chat room now, you can send a chat to somebody else. And as I explained to you, you hit on the chat icon at the bottom, that will bring that up, and then where you click where it says everyone, you just click, you find the person on that list that you want to chat to, you highlight their name, and you will send a chat out that will go only to that person, and the two of you can communicate back and forth. Now, one of the things that you want to watch for is if you do that and then you want to send a chat to everyone, you've got to go back and retoggle that to everyone, or you will be continuously doing the private chat. It holds your last setting. Auto-saving chats, I save all the chats in my programs for use later on. You can actually download the transcript of those. So sound notification when someone joins or leaves, I turn that on for hosts and co-host only. You can have it. You might have been in a meeting where you hear that little ding every time somebody comes in and every time somebody goes off. I don't think that that's necessarily good for everybody to be bothered by that or be aware of that. It's not really necessary, and I think it's a distraction. So I set it so the host and co-host only can hear those. Get in a file transfer. If you want people to send files to the in-meeting chat, you can do that. I have that on, but frankly, I have never used it. I have no idea what the real function of that is. Then I will admit to you when I don't know what the function of something is here. So you have an add feedback tab. Enables user to provide feedback to Zoom at the end of the meeting. So what happens is that you'll see it says display end of meeting experience feedback survey. Randomly, when you log off, Zoom is going to send you a thing that says, did you have a good time, or was this good? Was there a problem? Co-host. Now, this allows the host to add co-hosts. And they'll have the same in-meeting controls as the host, and that's important. In this meeting, we have a host. I'm the host of the meeting, and we have two co-hosts who help out. And they can help out by answering the chat. They can manipulate some of the things that are going on. And so if you have a meeting that you're going to have questions and answers or dialogue, you probably want to have a co-host. So I would put that on. And then the way you determine a co-host, again, at the bottom of your screen, there's going to be a little toggle that says participants. You click on the participant toggle, and everybody in the meeting will come up on the right-hand side of the screen, and they'll have little microphones and cameras on there. They'll have the person's name. And then if you highlight their name, you will see that you can mute or unmute them. And there's a little box that says more. And if you click that more button, it will say add as co-host. Everybody with me so far? All right. Polling, add polls to the meeting controls. This allows the host to survey the attendees. Now, what I'm going through here is not the mechanics of it. These are your setups. These are your settings for your meetings. We're going to get into a meeting. I'm going to show you exactly how to start a meeting. I'm going to show you how to send out the invitation. We'll get into all that, but these are settings that you want to go through before you even get around to scheduling a meeting, because these are going to run through all of your meeting templates unless you go in and change them. So we have show Zoom windows during screen share. Who can share? Right now we have host only in this one. I could put all participants. There's a problem with that. It's probably not going to happen to you in your Toastmasters meetings, but there have been situations reported where people come on and take over a screen share, and then they can put anything up on that screen that they want, and everybody's going to see it. And there have been some reports of people sharing their screen and putting on very inappropriate things in the middle of a meeting. So that's something you want to decide before you go in there. You're going to allow everybody to share their screen or not. I don't, frankly. If I want them to be able to share their screen later on, I can make them a co-host, and we'll go from there. But from a good practice point of view, I would recommend that you have host only for screen sharing. Allow saving of shared screens with annotations. You certainly want to do that if it's necessary to you. I do it because I just do it. So whiteboard, I'm going to show you how to use the whiteboard. You're going to allow saving of the whiteboard content and auto save the whiteboard content when sharing is stopped. So if I use a whiteboard during a presentation, when I stop that saves the whiteboard to a file on my computer that's under Zoom, and it automatically saves it. So anything that I've put on there is saved for future use, and I can remember it. During screen sharing, the person who is sharing can allow others to control the shared content. I leave that on. Nonverbal feedback. Well, I'm going to turn that on. Okay. Meeting reactions. Again, people can there's little emojis down there. You've probably seen them. You can put a thumbs up or thumbs down. Allow pardon me. Allow remove participants to rejoin. I don't allow remove participants to rejoin because that goes back to what we were talking about before. If you have somebody in your meeting that is disruptive, if you have somebody in your meeting who's tried that screen share trick on you and you remove them, you don't want them to come back. So if you remove them, keep them out. That's my advice from a good practice point of view, but that's something you can toggle either way. If you want them to be able to come back, let them come back.
Hey, Wayne, somebody is asking what the whiteboard is. Are you going to show us how to use that whiteboard feature?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So allow participants to rename themselves, and I allow, you can name yourself anything you want. There's 3 little dots up in your picture. And if you click on those 3 little dots, one of the options is going to be to rename yourself. You click on that and you can type in anything you want and become whoever you want. Let's see here. I will rename myself here. So I've now changed my name. Somebody remind me before this is over to change my name back so that for my future meetings, I don't show up as Billy the Kid. But that's your renaming function. So for instance, when we do these district meetings, they ask us to put in there whether we're an area director or district director and that sort of thing. So that's the renaming function. And you allow people to do that. You might want them to designate who they are by some particular title. So I leave that on. Hide participant profile pictures in meeting. I leave that off. I like to see people in my meetings. So that's all in-meeting basics. Now let's go to in-meeting advanced. Hosts can report meeting participants for inappropriate behavior to Zoom's trust and safety team for review. I have that on. You know, if you're not going to behave and it's terribly inappropriately, I would report you to the Zoom trust and safety team. I don't know. Now, I don't know the answer to this question because I don't have the free account or even the next one up. This deals with breakout rooms. In my program, what I can do if I'm doing a webinar, for instance, I can have breakout rooms that I assign people to so that when we're going through the whole presentation and we get to a certain issue that I want people to discuss or develop or participate in, I can assign them to breakout rooms. So if I have 100 people on, I can put 10 people in each breakout room and have them have discussions. And then at the end of the breakout time, they all come back and we report on that. If you have that function, it's a very helpful function, clearly in running a webinar, because in webinars, frankly, people get bored and they start fiddling around, and you want to have them have some participation. And so that's a good way to do it with breakout rooms. So if you have that available, consider using it. Allow meeting hosts to provide one-on-one remote support. I don't do that. Closed captioning, I don't do. You can see there are a number of saved captions, language interpretation, far end camera control. I have all of those off. I use a standard HD 720 video. Let me see if I change that, what happens. All right, I'm going to change that just because I can. So all right, so here are some of the virtual backgrounds down at the bottom. It says manage virtual backgrounds. I have to go back and figure out what's happened to my virtual backgrounds, but these are some that you can do, and you allow the users to use virtual backgrounds. So I have that on. Video filters. There are filters available. I'll talk about those. Can't do that right now. Identify guest participants in the meeting webinar. Again, I have that on. A lot of this is just personal preference to you. Whatever you want to do, it's in here, but you're setting up for your meetings. I don't show default email when sending email invites. I allow users to select stereo audio in their client settings, allow users to select original sound in their client settings. Now, select data set or regions. When you get an invitation from me, you will see that there are various countries that you can call in from. So you can just change those. All you have to do is click on them. If you want them on, have it highlighted. You want them off, you save it. And then when the meeting goes out, the only one at the bottom is going to be, if you're calling from Canada, call this number. Allow participants to bypass the Zoom application download process and join a meeting directly from their browser. So this is for people who don't have Zoom on there, who have not gone ahead and downloaded Zoom. They can bypass that, and just when you send out the invitation and they click on it, they can get into Zoom. And that's helpful because some of the people might not understand that that's available to them to download the Zoom app onto their computer beforehand. And you can allow live streaming to Facebook, Workplace by Facebook, or YouTube. And then this says request permission to unmute. I don't have that on. I mean, if you want to unmute, and we'll deal with it then. Now, email notification. When my meetings are over, they automatically record, and that recording is held in the cloud. Now, again, that's because of the program that I have, or the package that I have. I have almost an unlimited amount of recording space. So I record all of my meetings onto the cloud. And then when they are finally ready, because it doesn't happen immediately, I get an email from them and it says that recording is available. So I turn that on. So I have, when attendees join a meeting for the host, I have that on. That will send me an email if somebody shows up before I'm there. Notify the host when the meeting's canceled. When an alternative host is set or removed from a meeting, again, when someone's scheduled a meeting for a host, notify the host there's a meeting scheduled. And then when cloud recording is going to be permanently deleted from trash, I don't need to be notified of that. I'm doing it myself. Blur Snapshot or iOS Task Switcher. Enable this option to hide potentially sensitive material information from the snapshot of the Zoom main window. This snapshot display as the preview screen of the iOS Task Switcher when multiple apps are open. I have that on because I want to be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but if it's going to hide something sensitive, I want to hide something sensitive. I don't even know what sensitive is, but by gosh, I don't want it on there. All right. You can assign users in your account. If you have an account that has other users in it, they can schedule. I don't have that. So that is your settings tab. Okay, we'll scroll back up here. So those are all things that once you get your Zoom account, then you're going to want to go into settings, because those settings are going to carry through to all of your meetings. You don't have to do that every time. Now, you can always go in and change them to whatever setting you want, but you have to do it before you set up your meeting. Everybody with me so far? Any questions? All right. Want to see how to schedule a meeting? Click on meetings. All right. So this shows upcoming meetings that I have scheduled. I don't know if we're still doing the one on September 1st or not, since we're doing this one. Do you know, Debbie? Okay. I have one scheduled for 5 o'clock on September 1st. I'm not sure exactly what that's about, even by looking at it, but I'll check it later.
It's contest training.
Oh, that's the contest training. Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Yes, Wayne. Don't forget that one, please.
Yes. All right. Well, it's on my calendar, so I'll be there. All
Okay.
right. So now this, you can click on previous meetings. I always delete all my previous meetings. I've got this one on and another meeting here from this morning, but personal room. This is my personal room. Has my URL, Culture of Confidence. And then you can do meeting templates. Now, a meeting template is one that comes up every time. It's like any other template. It's the template you've set for your meetings. And if you use that, there's a Clayton Toastmaster meeting format. I am frequently the Zoom master for our club meetings. And so I just have a format here that I click on and I use that. So, and again, we go to webinars. Want to schedule a webinar, same thing. I don't have any webinars scheduled. Previous webinars, I've eliminated those in webinar templates. Recordings, this is what I was talking to you about before. These are all recordings of so I've got 36, as you can see down here, 36 meetings that have been recorded. And some of them are with clients I look back on, some of them I look back on and just take things out of there for my own use. But that's the cloud. Those are cloud recordings. Local recordings. These are recordings that I have an option of recording to the cloud or recording locally. Some of them I just record locally. Some of them I record to the cloud. So let's go back to meetings. We are going to schedule a meeting. One reason I pause here is part of the, let me see if I can change. No, that's not even. Part of my screen is cut off because of the, There we go. All right. You're gone now. All right. So schedule a meeting. Everybody with me? This is what you're going to do now. You're in, you've got your Zoom account, you've set it up, you've got all your settings ready to go. And now it's time for you to schedule a meeting. There we go. Everybody see that screen? I'm going to assume yes. All right, so you can call it whatever you want, but we're going to call this Toast. Typing is not my strong suit. Toastmasters Training Saturday. Okay. And you put a meeting description in here if you want to. All right. So you got your meeting description. Now, if you want to use a template, as I said before, you select here and you see my Toastmasters meeting format template. I'm not going to use that though. We're going to go down here. So when do we want to have this meeting? Well, let's have this meeting on August 29, which is today at 11 o'clock a.m. Now you can set your duration, how long you want your meeting to be. It's by hours. It'll go all the way up to 24 hours, okay? Hours and minutes, hours, you want to set it up for an hour, 30 minutes, hour, 15 minutes, hour, 45, whatever you want to do, okay? If this is a recurring meeting, in other words, it will save all of this, you just click this recurring meeting. So it will tell you then, excuse me, how often is it going to recur? Is it going to recur every day until September 4, 2020? Is it going to recur daily? Is it going to recur monthly, weekly, no fixed time? Repeat every 1 day, repeat every 4 days, okay? And you put an end date in there. So that's how you have recurring meetings for situations where it's called for. I don't use recurring meetings, or I've not yet used a recurring meeting. Now here we have registration required. You all had to register for this meeting. So we click that button, and that means that when we send the invitation out, it has that two-part registration. In other words, you have to fill out your information in there, and then you are you're sent an email for a link. So you can require registration. Let me tell you one of the benefits of requiring registration, and this has to do more with, not if you're using this necessarily for your Toastmasters meeting, but if you want to expand and you're starting to do webinars as an example. You want people to register because that's going to capture their name and their email address. And if you're going to use that as a marketing tool in the future, you're going to want that, and it will send you a spreadsheet, an Excel document that has their name, their email address, when they joined the meeting, how long they were in the meeting, when they left the meeting, a lot of good information that you can pull out of that. So registration required is nice, but we're going to click that off for right now. Meeting ID would generate automatically. Security, you can have a passcode and a waiting room for this meeting if you want to. Video, host is on, participant is on. Audio, both. Meeting options, all right? Again, you can change some of those things we talked about before just for your meeting rather than your regular. So you can enable people to join before the host if you want them on this meeting. Mute participants upon entry if you want to. Only authenticated users can join. You can pre-assign people into breakout rooms if you have breakout rooms. And I have here automatically record meeting in the cloud. I generally record all of my meetings in the cloud because that's available to me, and it's just a simple way to do it. And then you can enable additional data center regions for this meeting. And those are the ones that I clicked off for the various cities or various countries around the world. So now that we've gone through all of that, first of all, any questions on that process? Okay, seeing none.
When we may want to mention that things like reports and breakout rooms are not available on free accounts. So if they don't see that,
yeah,
that's because of that reason.
Yeah, that's I want to emphasize that if you have a free account, that is not going to be available to you. if you're doing this, if you're buying this for your club, for instance, it's only $13 or roughly $13 a month. So it's a good investment. And if you're in business, depending on the type of business, it might be worth it, but I don't know. You'd have to have some requirement for large meetings or for webinars. But webinars are, of course, a very popular business builder. So we're going to save that.
And the same thing with cloud recording. You have to have a licensed account to do cloud recording. Otherwise, you just have to save it to your desktop.
Yeah. Okay, any questions on that so far? Set up the meeting? We're going to save the meeting then.
Hey, Wayne, a question for me, please.
Yeah.
You may not want to take this up because it's probably a long explanation, but there's about 2 or 3 different areas where you can get into the settings. And I'm not sure which overrides what. You can get into the settings at zoom.us, and then you can get into the settings from the client. And then within the client, on one of the pages, there's an advanced settings option. So I know this can get pretty involved, but it is a matter of confusion for me. And I've been trying to work this out for a while. And maybe you want to save that to the end of the class if there's time. But I just want to let people know there's more than one place to get to the settings. And some of them are universal and some of them are per meeting. It's just a confusing area for me.
Well, I agree. Now, see, we'll go back to settings here for a minute. Again, these are all the options, and you can see up here, you've got a setting for schedule meeting, in meeting advanced, email notification, and other. Those settings are going to be universal, but you can change them within your meetings. Hang on here. So we're going to go back and edit this. That's something that you have to work through, but when you set up your meeting, you're really going to be addressing the very things you need for that meeting. Depending on how sophisticated you want to get with this, there's a lot of things that you can learn about, but we're going to go just through the basics here to help you get started. I want you to have the confidence. You know, Zoom is like my iPhone. My iPhone is a wonderful thing. It does much more than I will ever have it do. But there's a lot of great stuff on there, a lot of stuff on there that I don't even know how to use. Same with Zoom. There's things here in Zoom that I'm not familiar with, but I'm trying to give you the basics so that you understand where how to get on, how to run a meeting, how to get off. So I'm going to edit this Toastmasters training. We're back in here, and I'm going to save it. Once I save it, now we go to another screen. All right. So it tells me this is the Toastmaster training Saturday. Description, fun. Time is August 29 at 11. I can add it to my Google Calendar, my Outlook calendar, my Yahoo calendar as my meeting ID. Tells me more about it. But let me turn this off here. Over here, I don't know if you can see this now. Do you see on the far right where it says copy invitation? I've had to turn all of you off, so I can't tell if you can see that. But over on the far right of that, let me stop here for a minute.
We can see it, Wayne.
All right, very good. I'm back looking at you. All right. Go back to that. On the far right is copy invitation. This is how you get your invitation. So this comes up, it has everything in there. Wayne Schoenberg's inviting you to a scheduled Zoom meeting. You copy the meeting invitation. You go to your email, you compose, you send this to one of my other accounts. Click in there, you paste it, and you send it. Now, it's that simple. Once that goes out, then you've all gotten them before. They're there. Now here's something else that you want to learn about. This is important. Polling. Down here at the bottom of the screen, is your ability to poll. And as said, we use these in our club meetings. So I want to add a poll. A little template comes up like this. Title for your poll, best speaker. Now this would be a single choice here. You see you have either a multiple choice or a single choice. You type your question in here. Who was best speaker? Tom, Jane, whoop. After you get that in there, you save it. And now you have a poll. And you saw
Wayne?
us, yes?
There is a request to create a couple polls because they want to see when you go to launch the polls, how you choose which poll you launch.
Okay, so I'll do another one. We'll add another one. We'll call this so now you see we've got 2 polls in there. We'll deal with those in a minute. So that's our setup, all right? Everybody with me so far? Okay, we're going to start this meeting. So we're going to go to a meeting within a meeting. No, can't do it. Sorry about that. All right. Okay, we're back here. So that is our, unfortunately, can you, well, let's see. I'll set up another poll here. I mean, what happens basically is when you, Tom, I still can't create a poll here. Can you create 2 polls for me?
Sure, I will create a poll.
Okay. But basically what happens is when you're in your meeting and you want to do a poll, you're going to have a little box at the bottom that says polls. And if you have more than 1 poll, it's going to ask you which poll you want to launch. You click on that poll and it launches. Does that answer who had that question, and does that answer that question? So you set up your polls beforehand. And then when you're in your meeting, let's see where we're at here.
I'm going to create 2 questions.
Okay. Go back to the Zoom meeting. So again, what Tom is doing now is setting up these polls that you see down here at the bottom. And they're just listed like that. When you are in your actual meeting, oh, by the way, let's talk about live streaming while he's doing that. You can live stream to Facebook, Workplace, or to YouTube simply by, when you get into your meeting, there'll be a little box down there that says more on your screen. And you click on that more box, and it will give you the opportunity to live stream out to Facebook or YouTube if you want to have that kind of coverage. So again, at the bottom, when you're in your meeting, you're going to have a place that says polls. You can click on the polls, and we'll get to that. While Tom's doing that, we'll go back and do something else. Let's talk about whiteboard. Whiteboard is fun. Okay, there's our whiteboard. Everybody see the whiteboard? All right. So whiteboard is real simple. It's all of these little things up here are really self-explanatory, but they're not. Okay, so well, let's go off of select. Let's go to text. Want to put some text in there? You click on text. So click on it. There you got your text. Now you can move your text around wherever you want to move it. If this text was says select, we'll select our text. No, we're not going to select our text. There we go. And we can move our text around wherever we want it. So we've got text up here. Now we want to draw something. So what do we want to draw? We want to draw a box. Click on the box. We can draw a box. Want to draw a circle. No. I told you we'd have fun here. Draw a circle. We draw a circle. That's actually an elliptical. That would be a circle.
Hey, Wayne, there was a question about how to access the whiteboard, and we know it's in the sharing options. Do you want to talk through that?
Sure. Let me go back to there. All right. To access the whiteboard, you have to go to share screen. Click on share screen. And now there are things that I guess this is where the confusion is, and I understand that. When you click on share screen, it's going to show everything that's up on your computer. For instance, as I look at this box that I have in front of me, I have a thing that says screen, which is the picture of all of you that we're on, that you all see. I have another box that says whiteboard. I have a phone that says iPhone, iPad. I have one that says meeting information, Zoom. I have one that says PowerPoint. And then I have a general screen. So that's going to be available to you. You're going to see that when you hit share screen. Your whiteboard will be one of the things that's available to you, okay? So you click on the thing that says whiteboard, and then you click on the little box in the lower right that says share. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. So that takes you into the whiteboard then. And then these are just all little things that you can use. You got your text, you got your draw. You want to draw a line. You have stamps. Whoop. Never mind. All right, stamps here. We had something pop up. It wasn't supposed to pop up. You put a little stamp in there. Star. So whiteboard is just kind of a fun little thing. The format here is how you want these colors. For instance, that elliptical is that color. We'll do red here, and we'll go over to draw, and we'll draw hopefully a red box. Nope. Going on. There we go. Draw a red box. You want to undo that? You click on the undo button. Want to erase it? Come on, kiddo. Well, sometimes you want to erase it. All right, we're going to erase it. That erases everything. And if you want to, let's go back here to draw for a minute. It's not doing it for me, is it? There we go. Nope. I told you we'd have fun. There we go. So you draw this. You want to clear it. You go over to clear all drawings. Okay? So select, text, draw, stamp, spotlight. Oh, spotlight. Let's talk about spotlight. Spotlight, you can either put a little, you want to highlight something or point to things. You can also use the arrow to spotlight. Everybody with me understand what we're doing there? So if you had something on, you had a number of things on here, you wanted to spotlight it, you could use the arrow to point to it. You could use the little red thing to point to it. Eraser, see how the eraser works? And then you can save it if you want to. Just click on that. It says show in folder, it'll be saved. So it's saved, all right? Any questions about whiteboard?
Wayne, they were just asking for maybe applications for the whiteboard, especially like for a Toastmaster meeting.
Well, the whiteboard whiteboard is something that people sort of add notes on from time to time. I don't use it because I find it very difficult to draw anything on there with just using a mouse like that. You can use it for illustrative purposes. For instance, let's go in here. So you can kind of make your notes as you go along for people to see. It's not something, oh, board, how about that? It's not something that I use on a regular basis. I've just not found the use of the application for it. I think you're going to have to let your own imagination fit in there.
Maybe brainstorming?
Brainstorming, that'd be, yeah, okay, that's a real good one, Tom, yeah.
Our executive committee meetings when you're discussing an issue.
Okay, more, anybody else? So we got. Okay, those are two good suggestions. You get in there and you put those down there for your brainstorming or what have you. So it's going to be up to your imagination really as to what you think is the best application for that. As I say, I don't use it. If I have something like that, I generally have a PowerPoint in advance. Again, when I go to my screen share, bear with me. I don't know if my PowerPoint's still up. Yeah, my PowerPoint is already up. I just click on the PowerPoint thing and then it comes up. And I can scroll through either backwards or forwards.
Wayne, we had a question. Can anyone save what's on their whiteboard?
Yes. Remember back in your settings, you can automatically save the whiteboard, and you can also on your screen here, up here, there's a little button that says save. Everybody see that?
I don't think we see the save button. We have to take your word on it.
We don't see the same settings you see, unfortunately.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you see the black, the select, text, draw, stamp, spotlight?
No, we do not.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. All right. Then let me go through that. At the top of your whiteboard, I can't believe that doesn't show. At the top of your whiteboard is a menu. And I'm sorry, I, for some reason, thought you could see that. Is a menu. On the left, it says select. The next one in is text. And when you press on the text and go down to your position on the whiteboard, it opens the box, and that's where you put your text in. I'm sorry, I just didn't realize you don't get that. And then you can move your text box around. The next menu item is draw. And when you click on draw, it drops down a number of different options. That option, for instance. Thicker option. Diamond. You can draw an arrow, series of arrows. So that's in your draw box, all right? The next item, again, I'm really sorry about that. The next item is stamp. And that's where you get, click on that, and that's where you get things like your arrow or.
Hey, Wayne, not to interrupt, I was able to take my mouse and move it to the top of your screen that you're showing.
Yeah.
And I got an option there, a set of options. And one of those is to annotate, and it will show the same bar that you are showing. It might not show your bar, but it will show an identical bar.
Okay, great.
Got it?
Great. Everybody hear that? You want to say that again, Jim?
Yes, the screen that you're showing is completely white, but I took my mouse, I moved it all the way to the top, and a pop down came and showed me view options.
Okay.
And underneath one of those view options is the annotate option. Clicked on that, and I'm seeing the same bar that you see. It may not be the exact one, but it's the same bar.
Okay, well, that's great. And that's illustrative for you all. When you go in there, that's going to be there. All right. So, so I see people drawing on my whiteboard.
And one of the new features is that when somebody draws, they stick their name by it, so you can't be
Yeah, I noticed that.
Zoom drawing
Yeah.
or bombing.
All right. So for those of you who are testing, somebody give it a shot. There's Jim, puts an arrow in there. Somebody else give it a shot. Put something in there. That's a good zero now.
Not really.
There's Linda. Anybody else? Come on, give it a try. Sandra. Anybody else?
And there is a save button to the right too.
Right.
Anyone wants to save.
The save button is the last button on there. One other, yeah, Debbie Young. All right. Everybody ought to give it a try. Remember, I said I want you leaving here with the confidence that you can do this. So jump on there's Cindy, good. Jump on our whiteboard here and do something.
So Wayne, it is 11:04, and just to let you know that I set up that poll for you.
Okay, good. All right, well, I'm going to get out of here then. So you see, so now, thanks to Jim, you've got that bar up there. You can see the last one is save. You click save, and that changes it all. Now, again, mine's going to automatically save. I'll have this great piece of work in my file when I stop here. All right, so we're off of that. All right, let's go to polls. People want to know about polls. So I'm going to click on the poll button now, and it's going to show me that I have, it says polling for test. There's a caret next to that, a drop down caret. And when I click on that, I have poll 1 is have you ever started your own Zoom? Poll 2, table topics. So there's our table topics poll. And if I launch the poll, now what happens is on that screen, it says table topics in progress. It's clicking off the seconds, and it shows that nobody out of 18 has voted, which is okay because we didn't have table topics. We had 2 out of 18. All right, yeah, vote, everybody vote. All right, I'm going to end the polling. So you can end the polling anytime you want, but it will tell you at the top how many people have voted. There we go, 7 out of 18. I will tell you out of our 7 out of 18, our winner is Billy with 57%. So I can share those results and you all get to see them. And we go to the next poll. So I click down, I hit polls again, relaunch polling. All right. All right, it's in polling here. Now I go up again and I go down to my next one. We'll go to test, polling test. And so here's, are you all getting that poll?
We don't see that one.
No,
But that was
no.
just, I was just throwing something out there. Oh,
Oh,
there it is.
There
But
it is, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
initially it wasn't working for me, so I was testing.
All right, so now you have another poll and shows we've got 11 out of 18. I'm going to 12 out of 18. All right, I'm going to end the polling. And again, share the results. Then answer your questions about polling. Everybody think they can handle polling? You set up your polling in your meeting before you launch it. And then when you're on, one of the little icons at the bottom will say polls. And when that comes up, there's going to be a drop-down menu if you have more than one poll, and you click on that, and it gives you which poll you want to launch at that particular time.
If you share the results, though, everyone's going to see every vote that everybody got, which normally is not Toastmaster policy. That's your decision what to do.
Yeah, I don't share we don't share the results in our meetings. I was just showing you that you can share the results if you want to. If you were into something, for instance, you were doing a personal preference poll about something, would you rather have blue or white napkins at the next banquet? All right, I believe that we have covered just about everything, or I actually believe we've covered everything. What don't you know that you'd like to know about?
You were going to mention video filters real quick.
I'm going to mention video filters. Okay, we go over to stop video and click the little caret. And one of the options is choose video filter. So there are a number that gives you, it brings up a menu and it says backgrounds and filters. And that brings up a number of filters. Oh, and I've found my no, I haven't. I still haven't found my virtual backgrounds. All right. So there are various filters you can put on. I assume you can see those. Are those showing as I change them?
Yes.
Okay. So you can put whatever filter you want in there. Some of them are fun. I guess they're all fun. Let's see here. Put a mustache on myself. A hat. So those filters are available to you through that toggle switch down there next to stop video. You can add those anytime you want.
And if you don't see it, this was added in the last couple of weeks. That means you have not loaded the latest version of Zoom. That's a new feature in Zoom.
Yes, yes it is. Okay, what else, Tom? Anything else?
Well, let me think.
I don't have any other questions in the chat. I do have a note to remind you to change your name from
Doing
Billy.
that right now.
Well, I think when you sign off and sign on, I think it goes back to your default.
Does it?
Yeah. So
Well, I had a box.
Tom, no, it doesn't. It stay, if you have an account, even a free one, it'll stay with you as you go to meeting.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm back to being me. Any other questions? Any answers? Any inquiries? Everybody want to meet for lunch?
So one other item, somebody was asking about file transfer. You were talking about file transfer, and we said it could be used for maybe sending out the agenda to your members or sending the evaluator your evaluation form if you had done it prior to the meeting.
Debbie, I'm going to tell you that I'm not familiar enough with file transfer to comment on that.
Okay.
And Wayne, here's a suggestion that I've read about. you had a little trouble showing every edge of your screen, and so a lot of times you had to move things out of the way.
Yeah.
But it was suggested or recommended that you don't go into full screen mode with Zoom, because Windows does not know what to do with a pop-up when you're in Zoom full screen mode. You're better off in Windows maximize the screen mode, and then Windows better knows how to handle pop-ups when you're in maximize instead of full screen.
I agree with that, Jim. I'm not interested enough. I'm not in full screen mode, so I'm
Okay.
just having trouble with the gallery coming down the side. Anybody else?
No, thank you so much for putting this together for us, Wayne.
Well, I hope it's been helpful. I hope you at least leave here with a couple of things. First of all, you've got a basic knowledge now of Zoom. And my experience, one of the things that I talk about as a professional speaker is having confidence. And you should have the confidence when you leave here to use Zoom. And I hope that you've seen, as I've stumbled through some of these things, that from time to time there are going to be mistakes. And that's, so what? Those are just mistakes. Nobody is going to hold it against you if you make a mistake as you're going through this. And the more you practice, the better off you'll get. And sometimes you just have technical errors and there's nothing you can do about it. So do it. Get at least a free account. Get some of your friends together and practice if you want to. But it's a really good, useful tool. And if you were here for this training session, you are qualified to use it, and you know how to use it, and you know how to use it well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom, I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
Oh, all right. Well, we thank you all for attending. Debbie, you want to talk about our next lunch and learn? Put you on the spot. Actually, it'll be September 9th on the club success plan.
I can take that, Tom. It'll be like you just said, on the club success plan. It is meant mainly for officers, but of course anyone can tune in. And we're going to actually make it a workshop, try to work through what you write in each of those boxes and why, so that you can get that done. And there is an incentive for club officers to all be trained and to get that club success plan done. So hopefully you will get together with your fellow officers and work on it together. It doesn't really mean a lot if one person just sits down and writes it, but you should be able to create this plan together, and it's your roadmap through the year. But it's only valuable if you get everyone's buy-in.
And what is the date and time again, Dawn?
It'll be noon because it's a lunch and learn on September 9th.
September 9.
And then Art, do you want to talk about September 1st?
Yes, thank you, Tom. On September 1st, we're going to do a 1-hour presentation on club, or really chairing a speech contest. This will be a repeat of what I did for our last in-person TLI. Well, I was mobbed with questions and wasn't able to complete it. So somehow I know there's an interest out there. I don't know how well I'm satisfying it, but this is a method that an outline and a plan of how to put on a area division or a club contest without running into some of the glitches that I have observed through the years. So please join us if you can. Thank you.
There are links to register in the chat. Also, if you go to the District 8 website under training, you can register for both events and you'll immediately get a Zoom link. So with that, we thank our speaker, Wayne, for being so informative and being able to present this information. It was very helpful.
Thank you.
We will also eventually post this on the district YouTube page. So if anyone would like a refresher or if they want to recommend it to somebody else, they're able to see a replay on demand. So with that, I thank you for joining us, and you have a great weekend. Good night or goodbye.